That was an amazing song. That was not the original song that was supposed to be sung today, and there are no mistakes in the universe. Alicia got a little sore throat, and so Scott found this song, and I go, oh my God, that's my talk right there. And we don't have any children in here, do we? Little ones? Okay. All right, so, because I don't want to spoil Christmas for them. Anyway, could I have my first slide up? Thank you. Christmas magic is silent. You don't hear it, you feel it, you believe it. Isn't this a magical time of the year to go and see the lights in people's yards and see the Christmas trees coming up? And when I was thinking about this Christmas magic, do you remember what it was like to be a child at Christmas time? You know, okay, yeah, it was the birth of Jesus. Okay, who's that? I just want Santa and I want the presents. But it was a magical time, at that time go out and pick up the Christmas tree and the smell, now I have an artificial one. But at that time, back in the 50s, we had real Christmas trees. And it was magical. And it was the anticipation of great things and, worried. I remember when I was little, because my parents would tell me, Laura, you've got to be asleep or Santa Claus won't come. And I was so nervous. I would literally, my mom talked about how I would wake up and my lips would be purple because I'd be crying because I couldn't go to sleep and I was worried Santa wasn't going to come. And then what? And then what was going to happen? And then I remember one year I didn't get to go see Santa for some reason to tell him what I wanted. But my mom came home from work and she said she went and saw Santa and told him I wanted a Cinderella watch for Christmas. And she said, but he said, a lot of kids want them. I don't know if you'll be able to get one this year. He said, but he would try. And I go, okay. So I remember in the middle of Christmas night, everybody was sleeping, and I snuck out to the living room, and I looked under the tree, and I saw a box that I figured would be the size of the watch. And I grabbed it and took it into the bathroom, closed the door, and very carefully unwrapped it. And it was my watch. I was so happy. And then I put it all back together and put it back under the tree where it was and just, and acted like, always the actress, acted like, oh my God, I got my watch. And I was so happy. And it was so magical. And it was just wonderful. And then I remember when I found out there was no Santa. I was driving, I don't know what it was, but I think it was Easter, and I think my dad and I were driving back from Mass or something. I don't know, maybe my mom was with my brother, and I said, Daddy, is there really an Easter bunny? And he goes, well, no, Laura, there's not really an Easter bunny. And I go, yeah, I thought so. And I don't know how old I was. I had a little brother, so I must have been about maybe 8 or 9. I still believed in Santa. And he goes, and then I go, well, then what about a tooth fairy? Is there really a tooth fairy? And he goes, no, Mom and Dad, we just put some money under, take your tooth. And I go, oh. And then I go, oh my God, there's no Easter bunny and there's no tooth fairy. Is there a Santa Claus? There isn't one, is there, Daddy? And he goes, no. And I was just like, oh, that just kind of took some of the magic out of it. It was and now I have a little brother. He's very small, but I didn't want to spoil it for him. And so, anyway, but the magic of Christmas when you're young and that anticipation. I see my granddaughters getting all excited, and that's just how I felt. The magic of Christmas was just so wonderful. And, and I'm sure that there are some of you that maybe didn't have really wonderful Christmas. It wasn't that I got so many fabulous gifts. It was just the anticipation of what was coming. That was the magic, and all the lights and so forth. In my next slide, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. And I love that. I love that quote, and because the thing is, magic is every day. There is a magic every day, and it's what do you see? What do you bring into the world? I had this, for those of you who maybe didn't have a good childhood, and I know that there are some here, our mission statement is love only and forgive everything. Now, my dad wasn't a real warm and fuzzy kind of a person. In fact, I remember my uncle used to come from New York, and he was a teacher, and he would sit there and he would read books to me, and he'd always bring me not like fabulous gifts, but I just felt his love, and it was always magical. And in fact, I remember telling him one Christmas, I wish you were my daddy instead of my dad. And he said, no, Laura, your dad, but there was a warmth about him. And later on in my life, I had to find out what my dad's childhood was like. My dad was born in Hawaii. My grandmother and my grandfather came from Portugal, but it was a planned wedding, and she had fallen in love with somebody else. In fact, she had a baby with somebody else. They had to give my aunt away and to another family because he wouldn't want it. And my father's father just wasn't warm and fuzzy. They lived, in Maui, and they could walk down the street, and my grandfather wouldn't even acknowledge my dad. So he never had that affection. Sometimes we look at our parents or our lives and we're angry because of the way we were treated or ignored. But what were our parents going through? What was their story? That's the magic of life, to look past what you're experiencing and what is the deeper meaning and what can you get from this. I love the awakening that we're doing. I am telling you, this week has been, I just had chemo on Friday, and I was doing some deep reading, and boy, all this heart stuff came up. And I want to thank you all for all your warm wishes and your prayers. And I really, in 4 days, I will have been the assistant minister here for 11 years. Thank you. And I've been a minister here for 20 years. And for you, those of you that are here for the first time, and what you commented on about the energy here, this is such a healing place. I've been working more here at the center, and I just feel, Dr. Tom, who was my first teacher, who's founded this center, he was known as Dr. Love, and he was just, and that's what this is. And what I got this weekend, the magic that came to me is, yes, I love the science and so forth, but I'm about the heart. I am really wanting about the heart. I feel that when you open your heart and you forgive and you love, there's magic everywhere. Don't we live in a magical valley? I mean, the gorgeous mountains here, we are so truly blessed. And those are the things we need to focus on. My next slide, please. And so I talked about my little brother. My brother is, like 7 years younger than me. And so I remember this one Christmas, I'd been born in Michigan and lived there, and we moved to California. I was living in Simi Valley, and he must have been about 3 or 4. And for some reason on Christmas Eve, he was sleeping with me in my room. And he woke me up, and by now I know that there's no Santa, okay? And he wakes me up and he goes, Laura, I just saw Santa Claus with the reindeers fly across the sky. And I go, oh, let's go look, And I said, and I'm looking knowing. And he probably saw a plane go by and saw lights. But I go, oh, I missed it. I said, oh, you're so lucky that you got to see him. And for me, it was still magic to see my brother get so excited and believe in Santa Claus. And I guess that's why when you're a grandparent, you're so excited, to see their eyes and watch them get so excited. And when I went for Thanksgiving to see be with my grandchildren and my son, both of my sons and stuff. And they already had their Christmas tree up and they were so proud of it. And they were just, so excited. And there's always magic in life. There's just always. So may you never be too grown up to search the skies on Christmas Eve. I mean, I don't know if any of you saw it a couple weeks ago when we had a full moon and there were all these clouds. And that moon was just partially coming through. It was magical. There is magic everywhere. That's what we need to be in touch with. That's where the power comes from. Yes, in our brains, it comes in. And I don't believe that there are any mistakes in the universe. Each one of you is here today or whenever, whatever is going on in your life. It's magic. It is so magic, everything that you had, every pain that you've had, anything you've gone through, it's led you to who you are now. And I loved the song that Francesca said because we are here for love. You are here because you do feel something within your heart. You feel this energy and this love. And this is what the world needs now, more than ever. We've always needed it, but we see this duality going on. One group wants it this way and another group wants it that way. Well, we have to love. We have to love. And what I did this weekend, I was reading, and I really sat down and imagined the people that I've been distant from, the people that, like my father, that even though I loved him very much, I never felt that closeness. And I talked to them, and said to those people how much I love you and I understand and thank you. Thank you for making me the person that I am now, to realize who I am. And but for you, but for every person, even the pains that were in your life, we can learn from them. We can go deeper. It's that forgive only, that love only and forgive everything. What good does it do us to be miserable? That's the magic of life. You can change like that. My next slide. No pessimist ever discovered the secrets of the stars or sailed to an uncharted land or opened a new heaven to the horizon of the Spirit. Helen Keller. Don't let things make you think that you are less than. Each one of us here is the divine. We are all part of this. We are all part of this. We all have, I love that we do the religions at the first of the year, of the first of the month, every month, because it reminds us of our oneness. You may have different ways of doing it. Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. And little kids don't really pay attention. That's what we're really supposed to be celebrating, is the birth of Christ, which is love. Wasn't that what Jesus, the great teacher, was? He was about love, loving everyone. And he taught us how to use our minds and our hearts. That if we, he's out there having to feed all those people and only had so many fishes and knew that there was plenty and it came. That's how we do it. I think it's, for me, I hear them talk, it starts in the brain. For me, it has to start in my heart. It starts in my heart, and it it tells my mind, and it probably, I always say it comes from Big Laura. There's this higher part of myself that, okay, I'm just going to say it. You guys know it. I call myself the irreverent reverend, but I do it with fun. I try to do it with fun, and I try, and I don't, I have had many defeats in my life, and I look back on my life and I go, but I never got upset about them. The biggest one that I remember is my junior year. We were trying out for cheerleader. The pep squad had already decided that next year I was going to be the head of the cheerleaders and the song leaders because I was always fair to everybody. Usually if it was a cheerleader, she'd let the cheerleaders be out there all the time. It was the song leader. And they knew I wouldn't be that way. Well, I lost that election by 5 votes. And it didn't get put in on the pep squad, and they wanted me to do a recount. Does that sound familiar? And I said, no, I'm not going to do a recount. I wasn't meant to win, and people, they were, and I just knew. And the blessing that came out of that is that I was working at Ralph's in the snack bar at the time, and I knew if I was head cheerleader, I was going to be so busy. So I said, I'm just going to keep my job. And so I kept my job, and a few months later, my dad got laid off. And thank God I had my job because I helped with the groceries and so forth. And also, that's where I met my husband at Ralph's. But for that, I would not have had my 2 fabulous children. So, you see, so if you take things with grace and the magic of knowing that there is a divine purpose here, you may not understand why there's a loss or an illness or something, but it's something that awakens you. There's a magic there. You've got to look for the magic in everything you do and say and be. And my next one, when you choose joy, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. And when you do good, it reminds others of what joy feels like. And it just may inspire them to do the same. That's why you come here on Sunday. Right? Right? I don't need to sit here and say, you're a sinner, you're a this, and you're a that, and this and that. You know what? You are all divine. You are here on this planet right now to bring the love, to bring the joy. That is what our magic is. That is who we each are. That is each of us here right now with this divine purpose, and to find the magic in every day. Just to go outside here, and look at our mountains and be in the center. The energy here is palpable. It is healing. It is so healing. And my next slide. My slide is my Christmas card to all of you. Christmas is love, Christmas is dedication, and Christmas is happiness. Wishing you and your family a very happy Christmas with a bunch of love and prayers. That's what Christmas is about. That's what the magic is about. I love you so much. I love the center. I love being with all of you. And I just know you're going to have a magical Christmas, and may every day be magic for you. Namaste.